Good day, everyone. This is Pine Needles, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and on the tabletop. Please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Dracula.
Hey now, everybody. How's it going out there tonight?
Out here, everything is fine. How are things going in Barovia?
Not too bad at all, but that'll happen.
A crazy week. I hope it was crazy good instead of the crazy week I had.
Not quite to the craziness that you experienced, but close.
You probably haven't heard the full scale of my craziness.
No, but I'm sure we will talk about that later.
Yeah. So let's then head into the news for DDO because it looks like they finally are getting along and giving us some information because they gave us a little preview on what they're planning for the Druid.
Yes, they did. Torque over on the forums posted this. The key to remember in all of this is all subject change. This is what they are working on currently. There is no Lamania build, so we can't actually play this. This is just on paper. I'm sure on their internal server, they do have this up and running, but so just keep that in mind. But yeah, the Druid, big changes coming to the Druid. Biggest thing, I think, is animal forms are now going to use the stats of the player's main hand weapon for their melee attack purposes, such as the base damage, the critical multiplier, the critical range, any enhancements, martial traits, procs, etc., etc.
What did they use before?
They just used basically bare hand. They didn't take weapon into consideration, which never made sense to me.
Oh, so in other words, going into animal form could nerf you.
Basically, yes. You were not getting any bonuses or anything. You were just using like what your melee stats would. So yes, this is going to make animal form much, much more useful now.
Ooh.
Though my druid I shoot red fireballs, so this is really not going to affect me. But at least I'll know if I don't want to shoot red fireball, I'll be able to equip a real weapon and actually some good stuff off of.
Okay.
And then I kind of like this. I want to talk about this. Torque said a somewhat hand wavy lore explanation. The weapon is used as the magical source to enhance or to enchant and create the properties of the claw or to. It's magic, so it works that way. Yeah.
I would have thought that because of the transformation, something has to happen to the weapon while you're transformed, and that the weapon gets transformed into the claws.
Oh, see, now that's a better explanation. And then Torque goes on to say, the design explanation. We want Druid's melee attack progression to scale with loot normally, so the Druid's melee attack progression is easier to balance going forward. So there you have the heavy-handed lore explanation. It's magic! And then basically they just want to scale more because their attacks kind of suck right now.
Oh, number 10 is...
Let's go clear down to number 10.
We're going to be cutting the death penalty for pets and are discussing to give more pet spreads charges at certain levels. The arty enhancement that touches this will be reworked into something else.
Yeah, that is a good, because I know it's very annoying to me when my pet dies as a druid. I'm like, man, I can't res him. I'm out of res.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. Also, the Bear and Dire Bear forms AC bonus is now typed exceptional. Improved mage armor will also be typed exception as well. And then if there's any druids out there that do water and fire elemental form, that is now going to grant 65% absorption to their element instead of damage reduction and a 15% vulnerability to their opposite element. This bonus will also stack with fire shields and energy sheaths. And we're just gonna kind of glance over these. These are really, really in depth, so we're not gonna like read the whole thing. You can get the links in the show notes, and you can actually read the whole thing if you want. Plus, you know, and I said this is all subject to change anyway. We actually are not seeing this on the Mania yet, so we'll be talking about this again, and I'm sure this is going to change. Another big one I think people are excited about is the bear attack animation chain will be improved to make its attack rate match other weapon styles. This is going to result in an approximate 50% increase in attack speed.
Whap, whap, whap. It was...
Yes, your bears are going to be faster now. And then everybody got excited about this, but I don't think they read the whole thing, because they say these are coming after after this would pass, time permitting. These are stretch goals, so think of these as a Kickstarter stretch goal. It will happen, but at a few point. So I repeat, this is not going to be in the past, but it's some come soon after. Either are some combination of new wolf and bear form appearances or dies. Yes, it better be red. I can have my red wolf. That is all. Yeah. But once again, future, not going to be in the past. It's exciting that they're going to try to get time to work on it, but it's time permitting. There was people that just like freaked out, and it's like, we're getting bear and wolf dies, and not really, maybe at some point. They are actually going to do it, because at first they said they would never do it. So, but they're actually really seriously thinking about doing it. So that's exciting. And then that's really about all we're going to talk about. Like I said, these are just a lot of changes. There is so much into here. I know most of them were met with some excitement. There was a lot of ideas for some of them, especially in the enhancement trees, which, like I said, we're not going to go through those because there is a ton in there. So head over to the show notes, read all about it if you want. And like I said, I'm sure we'll be talking about this several times because I'm sure we'll get an updated version of this. And then hopefully at some time soon, we'll get it on the Mania so we can actually play with it and see what it's like.
Then let's head over to the other pet class, the Artificer, which is going to have some changes, plus a new tree, the Renegade Master Maker.
And Steel Star is the one that is heading this up. And he did post some general changes. And once again, same thing applies to this that applied to the Druid. This is all a work in progress and subject to change. So don't take anything you read with a grain of salt. It's not set in stone yet. This could change. And once again, no Lamania build. We can't play this yet. So this is just on paper, and I'm sure on their internal servers. So with that out of the way, the general changes they're looking at for the Artificer is construct essence remains the same. You will get improved construct essence. Now will function like construct exemplar does presently on live, and that will grant full construction ease typing. It's available with 12 artificial levels as an Artificer class feat. Construction exemplar is no longer part of the line with the other two, and it will now add a plus 20 repair amp and a plus 10 MRR. It's available to any character that is level 20 plus.
Now, I have to tell you that all that you just said right now, despite my having played an Artificer, I don't understand a word of what you're talking about.
Well, see, that just rules out my question. I was going to ask you, what does that mean? I have no idea, because I've never played an Artificer, and I was hoping you did. Apparently, you never messed around with constructs much.
I didn't know that there was a construct thing.
Yeah, it's in one of the trees, I do believe. I kind of know that much. I really should buy the Artificer class and then roll one up just so I can
I am just going to have
experience.
I'll have to look it up and try that because I did not know that there was anything with constructs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's one of the. And then they're also looking at changing admixture, curative admixture, cure critical wounds. That is now going to be a 5th level artificer. That is a really hard word to say for some reason. Artificer spell in the general spell table. Scrolls of curative admixture are going to cure critical wounds. Will now occasionally drop in treasure wherever 5th level scrolls will drop. Once again, did you mess with any of the admixture stuff at all?
Okay, I have done some admixture stuff, and now I think I've beginning to understand what the construct essence thing is. I think this is where the Artificer makes modifications to their own body to become more like a construct instead of flesh. So they began, for example, to be affected by repair skills instead of by cure spells, for example.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so this is a gradual from human form into one of the trees does that, whereas you go up the tree, you could take these on and you slowly become more and more artificial and thus affect more like a warforged than a human or whatever you were before.
Okay, that makes. And then, of course, we are getting that Renegade Master Maker tree, and that is going to be the third tree, and it's going to focus on improving your repair skills, your curative admixture spells, or your personal defense, and building thing buff your allies, you and your allies. And the core of that tree is going to be each core ability in this tree will grant you plus 10 maximum hit points, plus 5 spell power, and plus 5 repair spell power. The core 2, while in medium armor, heavy armor, are an adamantine body. Your equipped armor will grant plus 4 shield bonus to your AC and immunity to magic missiles. That's kind of nice to have immunity to magic missiles. And then so on and so forth. Once again, not going to really dig deep into this. As we said, this is just a preview. This is what they're thinking. You can hop over the show notes and read more of this. And again, I think this was mostly met with positive things on the forum. Then again, there was some other suggestions that people had, so it'll be interesting to see if they kind of take the suggestions that people had, into the change.
Yes, but I'm sure the bad news is the bit that no, they are not doing any large scale adjustments to artificial and druid pets at this time.
Yes, and Bonnie B on the chat is saying there is a thing in the Warforged racial tree to be more fleshy. So Pineleaf's theory makes total sense. So there you go, Pineleaf.
Well, I do know that tree exists. I just couldn't remember what the name was. So I'm assuming that is what they were talking about there.
Yeah, we really need to get probably like Patrick or somebody on here that really knows artificers and are less she plays an artificer at times.
Yeah, I know that's one branch of the tree that I tended to avoid because I didn't feel like becoming less human.
Right. Well, yeah, I can see that with you.
Yeah. So, I think I did it just enough so I could use repair skills on myself because currently you don't get cure spells as an artificer, so therefore you have to go at least a little bit into there in order to use those repair skills.
Oh, to get repair. Okay.
Never went full all the way.
So as I said, everything's subject to change. If you want to read the full brunt of all the changes, head over to the show notes, and that'll link you to the forum articles where the Druid and the Artificer previews are up.
Then let us head into our DDO Chronicle for this week, where our title page is... What is that?
In Ravenloft, I want to say... It looks Barovia-ish to me, but I cannot tell you exactly where.
Because I'm wondering if it's in that area where you have to go through the swamp in order to find Baba Yaga's hut, but I don't.
That could be. I know I've seen that in Ravenloft, but I'm just.
Yeah, I can't be sure.
I just can't.
Okay.
Our community spotlights. We got a shout out for our White Plume Mountain primer. So if you're curious about what the heck this White Plume Mountain is, it's coming to DDO. I did put up a little thing, and it's linked in the Chronicle. So if you want to know about White Plume, there you go. I think we talked about it last week or the week before. I can't remember. We talked about it some. Also, in our community spotlights, Brock and friends are bringing a new roleplay-focused live stream to the DDO stream every Friday night. So click over and watch the first show, and make sure you follow them and follow DDO stream to check more of that out. And Bonnie Buse in the chat is saying, so Pineleaf doesn't want to become Borgleaf.
Borgleaf.
That's good, Bonnie. That's good. I like it, Bonnie. We got our fan site news section of the Chronicle. DDO Cast as taking a look at the producer's letter, and they're also talking leveling 21 to 22. So click over and check out that episode of DDO Cast. The Damsels DDO are heading into Stormcleave. Check out their latest show. We apparently cheated at Monopoly last week and more.
How can we cheat at Monopoly to play that game?
How do you know I don't play Monopoly?
Okay, I don't know if you play it or not.
Don't generalize, man.
Okay.
I might play Monopoly every day. Maybe I'm the world's biggest Monopoly player. I could be the world's champion of Monopoly, and you wouldn't know.
Look, I know that I might not know how often you play Monopoly. It could be that maybe every few months or so you play the game. But I'm pretty certain you don't play it every day.
No, to be honest, I couldn't tell you last time I played Monopoly. I do own Monopoly. I own several versions of Monopoly.
I even have a couple of them that I haven't touched in a long time. So,
And I am looking forward to the Cheaters edition of Monopoly. But that's another section.
Okay.
Strim Tom is showing his worst build ever. Click over and watch that and see about that worst build. Band VP is running the Legend of Two-Toed Tobias, and Samus Garobo is moving his Wednesday live stream show to after the weekly Wednesday lunch live stream. So it's not going to be in the morning anymore. It's going to be after the live stream at 1 Eastern on Wednesdays. So if you like watching Samus, you'll have to wait till after the live stream to do that. And then elsewhere in the fan site section, Gene has a walkthrough for the Servants of the Overlord, the House of Grouse, skating, and Edric is pondering the Grey Moon alliances in a new blog post. And of course, we have our Chronicle comment, as we always do every week. What is the best thing in D&D that uses D12?
Now, I think that all the things in D&D that use a D12 that I can recall are no longer using D12s, because I think the barbarians I think to use them, but I don't think they use them anymore.
Nope, they still do.
Oh, they still use them?
Yep.
Of course, I don't play barbarian, so it'd be hard for me. I think what else does a barbarian use as a D12?
Yeah, that's how you get your hit dice pool, actually, is a D12. That's a really hard question, because really the only thing in D&D that uses D12 are some weapons.
Oh, yeah, weapon or...
And the barbarian hit die. That's all I can think of off the top of my head that actually...
And do you know how I feel about the D12? Or I should say not how I feel about that demonstrates how much I use D12s.
Did you have a bad D12 experience?
No. It has to do with the bad D12 experience. Is that when we needed a way to randomly select a document to read at work, I brought a couple of D12s into work so that we could perform the random selection.
Makes sense.
So over at work, we every day when we were doing sprint planning or something like this, we roll a D12 in order to select a document to review. And that's not just my group, that's all the groups at work. So and that shows you that I had nothing else to do with D12s because a few things that call for it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, and that's really all I can think of off the top of my head is barbarian hit dice and weapon. The poor neglected D12.
Poor neglected D12, and there's so little reason for it, considering that it has a nice roll ability, but it has a nice large face to it. So it seems like the best of all worlds for a die, but neglected.
And, really, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, most role-playing games do not really utilize a 12 that much.
Yeah, like, for example, Open Legend, which is which is right now online. The main version is online right now since the printed version hasn't been released yet. In Open Legend, you start out with D4s, D6s, D8s, D10s, 2D6, skipping the D12.
2D6, that's awesome. Poor D12. We need to form like a D12 support group or something, I think.
D12 support group. That's it. D12 support group here at DDO Players.
That's right. We love and that's really, I'm sorry, I forgot to talk about our official screenshot of the week, and that is Mickey D. Now I want a hamburger. Sails through the snow on the Borden Glory in the 353 DDO screenshot of the week. But I've got to call shenanigans on this screenshot.
Where was the snow?
Well, number one, there's no snow, so how can they sail through the snow? And number two, how did they get such a black background? I'm calling Photoshop shenanigans on this. Shenanigans. It's a cool screenshot, though, but I'm calling
All right. And maybe they're trying to sell you something. So what's for sale this week?
We have 20% off select adventure packs. Also, Quest XP elixirs at 20% off in our DDO store. The free sample of the week is a Greater Crafting Experience elixir. One of those with the coupon code CRAFT, C-R-A-F-T, C-R-A-F-T, and that runs through February the 15th.
Let's head in and see what's coming in from the dungeon. How about we talk about our favorite fragrance that makes you whistle Scotland the Brave.
Is that what the Old Spice theme song is? Scotland the Brave?
Yeah.
I had no idea. Who knew that besides you, finally?
And it looks like they have created a character class for Dungeons and Dragons.
They did. Old Spice is so cool. If you haven't like really followed Old Spice, their like PR department is pretty amazing. They do some pretty amazing things on Twitter, and this was one of them. Just out of the blue last week, they're like, "Hey, we have a character class for you." They said you can download this new Old Spice Gentleman class for the greatest role-playing game of all time, which we cannot mention for legal reasons, but to fulfill the fantasy dream you've always had, reading this post. So you can click over and download this. It is a 4-page document that, yes, is a brand new character class for D&D. It is for 3.5. It also work in Pathfinder as well. It is not compatible with 5e and make it compatible, but this gentleman class is like a crazy overpowered bard, basically. Is what this guy is.
An overpowered bard.
He's got some very interesting perks.
Hold on.
Yeah.
An overpowered bard, wouldn't that make it about equal with the other classes?
No, this is way overpowered, dude. This is
okay.
great. This is like overpowered broken territory.
Oh, okay.
Most of the abilities, as I said, are pretty much overpowered. And can basically, at higher levels, you can override the dungeon mastery.
Oh, that's...
So I can't see any DM actually allowing anybody to play this, but it's pretty freaking sweet, though. Some of the skills include to attack. You can get bonuses when you use your catchphrase. For example, that's like you will say, "I'm going to attack that troll, and I'm on a horse." You get a bonus because you're on a horse.
Right.
Or if you do a joke with the punchline, you also get bonus. And then you can also, at later levels, turn into an intelligent dog, instantly summoning a horse as well. So you can be an intelligent dog on a horse.
Okay. But actually, when you're talking about things like punchlines and stuff like that, it reminded me of the character of the prestige class that Elon became in Order of the Stick.
Yeah, you're about on the same line here.
Okay.
One of the greatest things is to heal your other players. You will do that simply by being near them because of your pleasant scent.
Well, from all that Old Spice?
Well, of course. And the most overpowered, crazy skill the gentleman class gets at level 20, you can ask to private leak with the DM because you can make anything instantly explode. Anything. No matter what it is. You just have a little sidebar with the DM, and then apparently the thing blows up. You're the gentleman. And you're on a horse.
We didn't like that that extra moon up there at Eberron.
Sure, boom, it's no more because I said so. So yeah, as I said, this is way overpowered, but it would be a heck of a lot of fun to play though. It is for 3.5 and Pathfinder. You can download the 4-page PDF for free. Just follow the link over in the article up on DDO Players. But there you go, the Old Spice Gentleman class.
Then let's see what's coming in for the tabletop, and I presume anything there will be just as serious as what we just discussed. And we shall begin with the Sailor Moon Crystal Dice Challenge. It is now up for pre-order.
Yeah, it's been a while since we talked about this. I want to say maybe last summer, maybe, is when this was announced. It's from Dice Gummy Publishing Company. They announced they were doing a Sailor Moon dice battle game, and it is based off of Button Men. So if you're familiar with the Button Men game and kind of how the dice and the battles work in that, this is really Button Men with a Sailor Moon skin put on it.
Okay, so that's odd because when I saw this thing, the first thing I was thinking of, does this look like Button Men?
That would be why, because that's really what it is. It's Button Men but it's Sailor Moon. So if you're into Sailor Moon and Sailor Moon Crystal, you have a new dice game coming out. It is up for pre-order now, and if you pre-order, you will get a Sailor Pluto promo card and a promo 36 by 24 poster as well. You can click over on the link on the article to pre-order it, and it is $35 is the price, and it will be available in retail soon after. But the promo card and the promo poster is only available to those that pre-order through Dice Gummy's website.
Now, I hope this 5 to 60 minute range is based on scenario rather than on, sometimes the first throw decides it, and sometimes you are rolling for an hour.
Could happen, I guess. I don't know. It's been so long since I played Button Men. I can't tell you. But soon I'll be able to, because we're going to have a review of this soon, as they ship my copy of this. Yes.
Of Sailor Moon?
Yes, they are shipping us a review copy whenever they get them in. They said they're not sure when. It should be before they're actually out in retail, they hope, but they got delayed. We'll see. So,
all right.
All your questions will be answered soonish whenever we get our review copy.
All right. Then we could compare it to the new edition of Button Men, huh?
Indeed, we could.
Then let's then head over to Mayfair Games, which, well, this was inevitable, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. But the thing about this, it's not just that Asmodee acquired, it's that they're closing. Yes, Mayfair Games is no more. They are shutting down and will no longer be in the tabletop publishing. The press release that was sent over said, as of today, the management team of Mayfair Games Incorporated announces that it will wind down game publishing. After 36 years, this was not an easy decision, or one that we took lightly, but it was necessary. Once we had come to this conclusion, we knew we had to find a good home for our game, which is when we reached out to Asmodee, because sidebar, Asmodee owns everything.
Yeah.
We are pleased to announce that we have sold all of our games to Asmodee North America, and they have acquired all assets of Mayfair Games Incorporated. And a special note for this is this acquisition also includes the product lines from Mayfair Games and Lookout Games GmbH. Moving forward, Mayfair product will continue to be available through previously established distribution channels, including Alliance Game Distributors, for sales in the United States to the hobby market, in Edgewise Games in the UK. So Mayfair Games is no more. Asmodee bought all the rights to all the games, so anything moving forward is going to be an Asmodee product. But I think the biggest thing, besides that, Mayfair after 36 years is shutting down completely, is Asmodee now got a hold of Lookout GmbH, which you may not be familiar with the name, but if you play tabletop, you're going to be familiar with a little game called Agricola. So yes, Asmodee now owns Agricola, and they also own Uwe Rosenberg's other game, which just came out not too long ago, Caverna, the Cave Farmers, and La Harba. So yes, Asmodee does.
Okay.
They're like the Borg. They will.
they will assimilate. There is going to be at some point, though, what's going to happen when Asmodee and Hasbro collide.
That'll be interesting. They're looking at Hasbro and they're.
Well, I have a feeling with Hasbro and Asmodee, it maybe come to a point where the antitrust
will
look into it.
True. I would think eventually with Asmodee that's going to kick in because, they pretty much, if you look at the tabletop game market right now, most companies, they're under Asmodee. It's kind of crazy how big they're getting. We'll see what happens. But it's just sad that Mayfair, after they didn't really say why, but apparently, I don't know. I guess there was a lot of issues going on, but it's sad. After 36 years, they're closing. But at least they did find a home for their game. Their games. I guess they could have just said, we're going out of business and our games are going to be no more. You're never going to be able to buy them again. So see ya. So at least they, made some money off of their IP, I guess. You can look at it that way. Asmodee, really?
Then let's head on and see what's on the screen. And it looks like that Amazon meets Conan. That's quite a combination, considering what the word Amazon means.
That is quite the. Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's kind of funny now that you say that. I never even connected those two. Oh, Amazon. They are really jumping into the whole TV production thing. Over on our sister site, don't we talked about it on DDO Players, but over on Lotro Players, I put up a post over there that they're also developing a Lord of the Rings TV show.
Yep.
Well, it came to light that they're also going to do a Conan the Barbarian television series as well. And this, of course, is based off of Robert E. Howard's original books about the sea icon. The new adaptation is reportedly going to stick more closely books telling the story of a tribal warrior who wanders the mysterious and treacherous world of civilization where he searches for his purpose and place from all that reject him as a mindless savage.
You mean that they are actually going to follow the original stories instead of some of those weird things they did in the movies?
That's what they're saying. They're actually going to follow the books. So that's going to be interesting because if you've read the books, if they follow the books, it's going to be an interesting television program because those books are crazy violent because Hibernia is not a friendly place.
Oh, no. It is definitely not a friendly place.
And then, as you said, I think most people, when you say Conan the Barbarian, they think Arnold Schwarzenegger's in the Conan movie. So these, they're saying, are going to be based off the books. We'll see. And I guess they do have the blessing of the Robert E. Howard estate. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of stories and what they create. But that's really all we know. We don't know anything more other than it's going to be on Amazon Prime. So you'll have to be a Prime member to get it. But we don't know when it's going to start production or when it's even going to release. But we just know there's a Conan the Barbarian TV show in the works over at Amazon, as well as the Lord of the Rings TV show as well.
Finally here, also on the stream, Cthulhu Tactics. I really...
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to try?
I think I will pass.
Okay. For those of you that need a translator for that, he said Cthulhu Tactics. That is a new video game that is up on Kickstarter. And you might be saying, Achtung Cthulhu. That sounds familiar. That is because it is based off of the Modipius RPG that was kickstarted a few years ago. That was a big, rousing Kickstarter success and is a pretty fun RPG to play as well. But this is going to be the Achtung Cthulhu Tactics Forest of Fear. That is a mouthful. Rock Digital has teamed up with Modipius and indie publisher Ripstone to make this a reality. This is up on Kickstarter, of course. And Achtung Cthulhu Tactics to Fear is set in a World War II where the Nazis have returned to otherworldly beings in order to bolster their war efforts. So in the universe, it is widely known that the Nazis are doing weird things and basically summoning Cthulhu to kill everybody is what it really boils down to. There is all sorts of weird things happening because they've basically got Cthulhu on their side. So yeah, and hilariousness is, as they say. But yeah, this is up on Kickstarter now as of recording. They have 19 days to go. They have surpassed their goal and are sitting at 18,310. And if you want to jump in on this, the lowest pledge to get a copy of the game is $28. And then there is other pledge levels that are higher that will get you the game. Plus you can get the PDFs or printed versions of the Achtung Cthulhu RPG as well. But if you're into the Achtung Cthulhu RPG, it's coming to your computer soon via Rock Digital and Modipius.
Then we can finally come to our week in gaming. And Drac, what were you up to?
Well, unfortunately, not a heck of a lot. As I said, I had one of those weeks I've been having, which I'm probably going to be having for a while, but that's a different story. But let's talk about what I did in game. I did manage to play some DDO a little bit. I Shader Kai. I am running The Devil's Gambit, Grim and Barrett. That might sound familiar to you that listen to the podcast. I realized, hey, I have a ranger that's going to need one of those quivers. So there you go. So I'm back on the quiver never drops. At least I have a nice air conditioning and free drinks. It's nice there. So I'll be riding that train for a while until the stupid quiver drops. Then my level 17 now rogue that I have, my friend and I played. We haven't played for a while, and realized he hasn't ran any of the gnome work quest. So we started running those. We did good intentions. Didn't have really any problems with that. It was just fine. I haven't run that quest for a while, so it's cool to see that quest. And I had to lap at the whole gazebo thing again every time. Every time I lap it. And then my ranger, whom I am trying to get the quiver for, is setting at level 11. I finished up Dalera's Tomb. Of course, I ran that on Elite. So I did Return to Dalera's Tomb and the Thrall of the Necromancer. Finish that off. So I got my Voice of the Master. So now I'm going to do, I think, the rest of the House Teresco quest. And then I have no idea where I'm going to go. I guess we'll figure that out. But that was really all my DDO time because we did not play this week. But I'll let you talk about why we didn't play.
Yes, last week was a rather interesting week, I guess. It's a mild way to put it.
That's right.
Right, because first off, as I think we mentioned last week, I had a couple of computer issues or something like that I was dealing with. So during the early part of the week, I was dealing with massive. Actually, last week's episode, right after last week's episode, right after we finished recording, I crashed. I said, all right. Got to get a new computer, whatever, stuff like this. Well, it turned out that the new computer didn't work as well as I was thought, and I liked the old computer better. And I noticed that when I was exchanging computers that this thing hasn't been dusted recently. So therefore, now after a little dusting, all that stuff, my computer is working like a champ. Okay, so went back to the old computer. That saved me a lot of migration troubles. DDO, in fact, was the only game that had to be reinstalled as a result of this mess. So I did have to reinstall DDO and all that stuff. So during the time which I usually play with Drac, we were doing that. It didn't help, though, that right after the show, the other thing that I developed was a nasty case of Bavarian flu.
It transferred through the airwaves.
Oh, through the airwaves, yes. And so I spent a week without really doing much outside of the house because I was down with the Bavarian flu all this time. Once that was all taken care of, I had to take it easy on the games I played because you have a bad case of something is when you don't even feel like playing too much. You don't want to do anything that's challenging.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You don't feel good when.
Yes. So what I did is I decided to pick my Halfling Paladin, the one that did all the stuff in Ravenloft. And I thought, all right, let me first, since I've just downloaded the client and repatched it and all that fun stuff, let me go into the Mists of Ravenloft and rerun the final vintage, a nice, relatively easy dungeon that's at level 12. Went through, okay, now I'm warmed up and all this stuff. Looked at my character and noticed I had only 3 bags, all right? Why do I have only 3 bags?
Because you didn't run any of the Coin Lord quests?
Because this was the one that I did for a YouTube series, and it was veteraned up to.
No, there you go.
It was the one that was veteraned up. So since the character was veteraned, of course, never did that. So what I did is I headed over to Korthos, ran all the content there, Elite, so finished all, triple points. You might as well get there. I'm not getting any XP, so I might as well get triple.
Hold on. You ran something on Elite?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm writing this day down on the calendar.
Oh, you got to remember, it was Korthos with a level 12 character.
Still, you ran something on Elite. That is a big step for you. I don't care if you were overpowered. You ran something on Elite.
I had done that once or twice in the past. The thing I get worried about is when I run Elite with opponents that start throwing things at you. Because whenever I run anything in Elite at higher levels than Korthos, I constantly get whole persons thrown on me. And so I can't do anything throughout the entire dungeon. And that's the biggest reason why I have trouble with Elite.
MRR?
Apparently so. Maybe someday I'll come up with I'll actually do a build that is built around such things, but
Or just play with the damsels where they make you play in Elite. Either way.
Yeah. Play with the damsels. Very well. Then, after that, I went to the harbor and ran several of the quests over there in order to finally finish up everything and finally get my bag So now I have 4 bags. Actually, after some harbors into the marketplace, and of course ran everybody's favorite little area, and that is of course the Sharn Syndicate. And in the Sharn Syndicate, I was only running that at normal because I wanted to get through it quickly, and I computed that I had enough points that I would get enough to get my bags if I ran all the Sharn Syndicate through at normal. So I ran that there so I could just get through there quickly, and also run. The idea of running some of these at Elite has had me wondering about, like the Stormreaper Frisco. I'd hate to think about trying to break those shards or something like that.
There's the pine leaf we all know.
Yeah, there's the pine leaf we all know. Yes, that's right. And, oh yeah, and those traps are murdered in restoration. So therefore, I ran that. Then, as you can see, I did keep things on the easy side. That was I was not in the mood of doing challenging content, as I said, due to the little case of Barovian flu that I had at the time. And as for Minecraft, I finally got around to finishing Hall of Triumphant Pine because I had a little break from Minecraft due to, internet trouble and Barovian flu combination, all that stuff. When I finally got into it, I was able to finish up that hall. So that looks like a nice, neat place in there. So level 2 is coming along, I think about halfway through level 2 right now. So I'm hoping to be able to finish that up by the end of the quarter, by the end of March. And then it's fun to go into level 3. We currently have 18 supporters on Patreon, and if you'd like to help support DDO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast your choice, or you be a guest with us for an episode of DDO Players News. We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to the podcast at ddoplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at the Players Alliance at Players Ally, DDO Players at DDO Players, Dracula at Dracula_72, and Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles. The Players Alliance has 3 live shows. Every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lojo Players News. And every other Thursday at 9:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have XP Quest. But please note that is not exactly the most family-friendly show on this network. You can also check out our brand new show on the first Thursday of each month at 9:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, Chromatic Bits. And this is a new pre-recorded video game podcast. Now, what is this 9:30 p.m. Eastern time slot that's shown if it's a pre-recorded event?
It is going to be played at 9:30 on the first Tuesday of every month. So
okay.
it is a recorded show about video game music that is going to be played. And then directly after that, you can download the podcast version of it if you can't listen, quote unquote, live. It's not really live because it's already pre-recorded. It's just a new show about different types of music.
And you can listen to our shows at ddoplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And until next time, this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to quest responsibly.